Good evening. Welcome to another live edition for FSU Weather. Alongside Ryan Smithies, I'm student meteorologist Jack Holland.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We begin tonight in Mexico City, where the death toll rose today to 47 people from the unusual 1-2 punch of a tropical storm and a hurricane hitting Mexico at nearly the same time. The twin storms Manuel and Ingrid have created havoc on both of Mexico's coasts, cutting off the resort city of Acapulco on the Pacific and also causing heavy damage along the Gulf. Thousands of tourists found themselves stranded in Acapulco on Tuesday, with the airport flooded and highways blocked by landslides and water caused by Tropical Storm Manuel. Local news media reported that much of the city was without water and power.
Commercial carriers and the Mexican military responded by setting up flights ferrying tourists to a nearby concert hall instead of the terminal. Emergency flights began arriving to Acapulco to evacuate at least 40,000 mainly Mexican tourists stranded in the resort city, where some of the streets were transformed into raging brown rivers. Mexico Gulf Coast states, meanwhile, are trying to recover from Hurricane Ingrid, which drove tens of thousands of people from their homes and blocked highways.
Locally, though, the tropics remain inactive and the weather remains pretty calm here. We'll take you out now to Brooke with a look at the overview of the weather.
Thanks, guys. So we're flirting with fall pretty soon. The first day of fall is the 21st, so mark that down on your calendars. We do have some rain forecasted for the weekend coming on up, but we're not really going to focus on that now. We do have a new storm forming out in the Gulf, but we're going to clarify that much later. But right now, you can see that trough on over the center part of the United States, bringing in a lot of rain, some excess moisture that Nicole is going to be speaking about later on as well. And down in Miami, we can see a lot of rain from that tropical activity coming up as well. So we have a lot of rain in our area, but Tallahassee, we are in the clear for now. We can see rain as we move into the weekend and for game day, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. Let's look at these temperatures though. Tallahassee, for tonight, we're going to drop down to 70 degrees, a little bit of break from all that heat and warm air mass on over us. We can see a little 20% chance of rain, but that won't be forming until much later if it's still warm outside. But a lot of 70s across the boards. We have some 69s up there to the north of us. But again, we're going to have a nice evening and a great show for you later on. How about that, Jack, and Rai?
Out to London, where a prominent United Nations official says that the world is not on track over climate change. One of the United Nations top climate officials says international leaders are failing to fight global warming, appealing directly to the world's voters to pressure their politicians into taking tougher action against the buildup of greenhouse gases.
Harold Thurgeson told journalists Tuesday that we are failing as an international community and that the world's not on track to prevent potentially catastrophic climate change. Thurgeson, a senior director with the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change, was speaking with 2 years left to go before the world powers gathered in Paris for another round of negotiations over the future of the world's climate, while scientists will warm dramatically unless action is taken to cut down greenhouse gas emissions.
Greenhouse gas emissions, the debate never ends. But for a lighter tone, we're going to take a look at the local forecast. Raquel, how's that looking?
Thanks, guys. Well, we're still quite warm in our Tallahassee region, high 92 degrees and low 72. We're not seeing any of those temperatures that we're used to seeing at this time of year. We're used to seeing temperatures in the 70s for this time of year. Look at that, average 88 degrees, and we're not seeing that today. So hopefully we just start seeing this cooler temperatures soon. Current conditions right now, are currently at 93 degrees, so it's still quite warm out there. Dew point's out 66, but as we head into the evening, it's still going to be quite muggy. Current temperatures, as I said, 93 in Tallahassee. Quincy's seeing 90 degrees right now. So again, just seeing 90s all across the board. 88 in Thomasville and 93 in Valdosta. Just still quite warm, baking out in the sun. So look at that, Bainbridge, 106 degrees. That's how it feels outside for that area. So maybe just hydrate a little bit better. Just stay cool, stay inside. Just don't put yourself through that torture of being outside on this very warm day. Current dew point, again, we're just a little bit dry right now, but as we head into the evening hours, the temperatures will drop and we'll start to feel a little bit more of that moisture. Futurecast, we do have a little bit drier sense of air to the north of us. So as that cold front starts to move down, we'll have more of that sensation of just drier and slightly cooler air. Not too much of a typical fall kind of weather, but just a couple degrees just to cool us off a little bit. So as we head into later this week, we do see that the cold front starts to slowly move its way down. And as we have high pressure system just situated over us, it will be slightly cooler but warm up during the later part of this week. So as we head into our next graphic, we can see a little bit of moisture just popping up to the east of us, right around Jacksonville and Gainesville. So that moisture is not going to reach us too much, but we do have a couple of pop-up showers to the north of us near Dothan, Alabama, and that might be due to the sea breeze effect and the combination with the cold front. So as we head into tomorrow, though, we see that the dry air just starts to push its way through, giving us a nice and more pleasant Wednesday afternoon, or Wednesday morning, rather. Tonight's forecast, we're going to see 70s all across our region, 70 in Tallahassee, 70 in Monticello, and the lower 70s along the water. 20% chance of rain too much, so maybe not necessarily need your umbrella. But we do have a nice light breeze at 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow's forecast, taste of fall, 30% chance of rain. We do have a nice couple of degrees lower for us at 89 degrees in Tallahassee, but again, we still have those slightly warm temperatures where we might not be used to seeing this time of year. Boating forecast, east 5 to 20 knots, or 15 to 20 knots rather, and waves 3 to 5 feet. So it's going to be quite choppy out there. And for your 7-day forecast, we're going to see temperatures slightly drop, and we're going to see an increased chance of rain as we head into the weekend. Is that going to rain on your parade this weekend, Troy?
Well, Raquel, me and rain just don't really get along very well, but, I'm not going to let it ruin my weekend because I got fun stuff to do, and I'll tell you more about that later. But in the meantime, as you look ahead at your current temperatures across much of the southeast, we're just baking along the I-10 corridor. Look at that, 93 degrees in the capital city, and the same goes for Shreveport. But look ahead at Atlanta being this cool spot, 75 degrees in Atlanta. The same goes for Wilmington. So they're just enjoying some very fall-like conditions. So if they want to go to the Smoky Mountains or just go on a hike, that is the perfect place to do it. And along with that is low dew points. And remember, dew point is a good indicator as to how much moisture there is in the atmosphere, and it also is a good indicator as to how humid it is outside. And dew points are on the low side around that region. 62 is a dew point in Atlanta. So when dew points get into 50s and 60s, that indicates low humidity. But down towards Florida, naturally very, very, very humid and oppressive levels with dew points running in the 70s. But now, as we focus at your water vapor imagery, as I step out away in the screen, we do have this upper level disturbance situated off the coast of Florida. And associated with that is a lot of moisture indicated by these green colors. And that green colors causes some showers and thunderstorms along the east coast of Florida. And as we illustrate this on your satellite radar, you see, look at all this rain that's just popping up across the peninsula, particularly around central and southern Florida. So if you're outside, you want to have an umbrella because, as you can see right now, it is raining in some areas. It's raining quite heavily. So just take it easy if you're traveling, particularly along the I-95 corridor, or if you're on the beach, because conditions are not looking so hot right now. But as we spend time in your future casts, there's this cold front right now that's situated on Wednesday, but high pressure to the northwest will lead to some dry conditions as we go out through the day on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. So more warmth is in store for us. So if you're a fan of the sunshine like me, that is some great news. And also, cool temperatures, although not fall-like, but still enough that you'll feel quite a difference. So that is something that myself, I just love. Isn't that just nice? You Floridians, I just love cold weather. Cool weather, in fact. But looking ahead at tonight's forecast, again, more mild temperatures in store for us, 71 degrees in Tallahassee, a little bit cooler and towards the north, 67 degrees in Savannah. As we look at tomorrow's forecast, more warmness in store, 88 degrees in the capital city, 83 in Savannah. And you folks at the desk, don't you just love cool weather?
Yeah, thanks, Troy. We do enjoy the cool weather. I don't think we'll be dropping down past the 85-degree mark this next week, which is a little bit unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but we have some interesting news to talk about. Now a little bit of a lighter story. I think Jack wants to talk about the National Aviation and Space Administration.
Yeah, we talk about the hurricane hunters all the time on here. It's associated with NOAA and also the Air Force, and pretty much you get a bunch of guys and some nice planes flying around hurricanes, tracking what wind speeds and everything is. But NASA is making advancements in forecasting, sending out drones to hurricanes.
That's right, not replacing hurricane hunters, but NASA is in the middle of a $30 million program to fly unmanned aircraft drones to places where the hurricane hunters essentially can't fly, to study hurricanes and aid the government in forecasting future storms.
Yes, the great thing about drones is they're able to fly for 30 straight hours, unlike the hurricane hunters. So hopefully that will help us out with our forecasting, but we're going to switch on over to our national forecast with Nicole.
Hey, thanks guys. Taking a look around the country, we have this 24-hour temperature change. Check that out. Minus 11 in Atlanta. It has dropped 11 degrees with that cold front dropping down. But the rest of the country is warm, plus 14 in Kansas City, and Denver even sees a warm up as there's a high pressure system moving in. Currently, you can see all those warm, toasty conditions, 92 in Dallas, 90 in San Antonio, 82 in Denver, and 106 in Phoenix, as always the hot spot. Taking it back home, we are sitting in the 80s as well. Moving forward to our satellite and radar, we do have a little bit of moisture heading up. There's the remains of Ingrid down below in Texas, as well as Kansas City is seeing a little bit of moisture moving on in right now. Denver, for now, is dry, but later tonight there might be some more moisture heading into the area. Moving on into Florida, into our neck of the woods, there is a tropical disturbance, as Troy was saying. So that is bringing a lot of moisture into the area right now, lots of heavy rains. But for us, luckily, we're sitting dry. Nice for the next couple of days, but the rain will be coming. Ingrid is still moving, pushing on through, sending a lot of rain into Texas. Much needed for them, so it's a nice little relief right now. And taking things up to the central part of the U.S., there are those storms that are heading into Missouri, into the Kansas City area. Like I said, Colorado is dry for now, but you can see just a little bit that those storms are going to be pushing in later today. Taking a look into Pennsylvania, into the northeast, there is a high pressure system sitting over right now. My neck of the woods back home in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton actually saw record lows today of 36. Hard for us to imagine right now because we really have been seeing those warm conditions, but fall is definitely up there in the north. For us, we still have just a little bit until fall heads out. We still have those warm conditions, but we will be seeing a slight cool down next week. Airport delays, not too much to speak of. 25 minutes in Atlanta and 38 minutes always in San Francisco. Always have trouble flying out of there, so hopefully you have some other travel plans. The rest of the country is seeing those fall conditions moving in. 57 in Denver, 62 in Atlanta as that cold front is pushing down. And look at that, 49 in Washington, D.C. tonight. Tomorrow, the fall temperatures are in the northeast. For us, another hot day of 88 degrees. Hey, Tracy, what is going on around our local area?
Thanks, Nicole. Well, taking a look at our local radar, you can just see that we have a couple of pop-up showers just in our, just a little over the coast, and then a little off to more of our western region. And then current conditions right now, just partly cloudy. Temperatures are 93 as we're going to see a decrease as we go into the evening hours. Our dew point right now is sitting at 65 with that slight humidity at 40%. Current temperatures, as I was saying, as 90 degrees in Monticello, 93 in Tallahassee, and those are going to be coming down as we go into the hours later on this evening. Our current dew point is going to be Tallahassee at 65, Monticello 71, and pretty consistent along the area that we have, except that Apalachicola is sitting at about 73 with our dew point. Right now this is our future cast, and we have this cold front just kind of sitting right along the panhandle of Florida and pushing down. And with that, it's going to bring slightly cooler temperatures, but for the most part, we still are going to see a little bit warmer temperatures. And when I say slight temperatures going cooler, it's just basically going from lower 90s to upper 80s. The effects of the cold front are going to be mainly sitting higher in Alabama and Georgia, and they're going to see a little bit more of a temperature drop. Now, as our current winds we have. We have some winds coming out of the northeast, and if we look over here in Valdosta, you're going to be seeing a little bit higher of a wind gust at about 15 knots. And then for tonight's forecast, as I said, temperatures are going to be dropping. It's going to feel comfortable 70 degrees, less muggy. You're going to be able to go outside and enjoy that cooler air. I know I tend to go outside a little bit more, and I tend to do a night run just because it's so much less muggy, not sweating as much. It's more enjoyable. For tomorrow's forecast, we're going to see those cooler temperatures. Like I said, not too much of a drop, but it's going to be 89 versus those lower 90s. Our daily planner, we have, tomorrow morning you're going to wake up, it's going to feel nice and comfortable at 73 degrees, and then as we go on into our noon hours, you'll see your temperatures start to warm up at 83, and then we'll be settling later at about 5 p.m. at 88. For tomorrow, your 7-day forecast, well, not tomorrow, for your week, we're going to be seeing those cooler temperatures at about upper 80s. And then Saturday and Sunday, we could see some showers pop out about 40–50%, decreasing temperatures to 87. So if you're going to that football game, just be wary that you might need to bring an umbrella. And then by Monday and Tuesday, you're going to see temperatures just increase slightly at about 88, 89.
Okay, thank you so much, Tracy. And of course, the big news for several days now has been the flooding coming out of Colorado. And believe it or not, up until today, they really were getting a lot of rain, and the sun came out today, so that's the good news.
So they're finally getting a break with that. And with the sun coming out, they can finally send out those troops and helicopters to look for more people and more damages that have been done.
Yeah,
How many damages?
1,500 homes were destroyed, 18,000 were damaged, almost $1 billion in damage. And the key is rivers are still rising here, so of course rescues are pretty much done but from the initial flood, but now that we have the rivers flooding even more, it's kind of just exasperating the flood conditions. But hopefully with this clear skies it helps a little bit.
Right, there was reported only 7 people lost in this flooding, so that's very tragic.
Yes, and by the way, so far over 30 inches of rain for the year, and that beats their all-time record for rain ever. So
you don't really hear about rain over in Colorado.
No, we don't. So this is not good news, but they'll dry out for the rest of the week. That's the good news that we have. But we want to find out more about the tropics now with Alex.
Well, not so fast, Tyler. We're actually going to jump around Florida first, if that's all right with you guys at the desk. Let's look at those current temperatures right now. 75 in Fort Myers, 82 degrees in Tampa, and 81 degrees in Orlando. That's where a lot of our storms are. But if you go up to north part of Florida, 93 degrees in Tallahassee, 73 in Jacksonville, and a warm 85 degrees in Pensacola. So north part of Florida staying relatively dry and warm. Those winds are gusting, though, out of the northeast at 13 miles per hour in Jacksonville, and mainly out of the east in Tampa. And we're going to jump into our radar, and you'll see all those storms coming from east to west all across central Florida, making their way across the I-5 corridor. My radar is freezing up a little bit, but here it goes. Had some bulky storms pushing through around 6 o'clock today along your afternoon commute between Orlando and Tampa, but we're seeing relatively quiet in the Tallahassee region. And big reason why is we have a lot of dry air hovering above Tallahassee and Jacksonville, but we make our way down to central Florida. That's where you see the bulk of the moisture and those greens and whites sitting above central Florida into Tampa, Orlando region. That's why we've seen a lot of rain in that region today with some thunderstorms embedded in those storms, mainly in South Florida. But this is what we have in store for the next few days. We have a cold front that will start draping past our area. We won't really drop down in temperatures, though, only a few degrees, so we'll still stay relatively warm. We'll have drier conditions, though, which will be nice for us. Partly cloudy skies, but to the south of us, they'll stay very warm, hot, with thunderstorms in their area as well. But we're going to jump over to our tonight's forecast. We're calling for a low of 75 in Tampa, 75 in Orlando, 72 in Jacksonville, and 71 degrees in Tallahassee. That cold front is going to start pushing through, and that's why you see those cooler conditions up to the north. And you make your way down to the south, that's when your current tonight's temperatures are going to be pretty warm, 79 degrees in Key West. Tomorrow's forecast, though, we're calling for our temperatures to drop down a little bit because we have that cool, refreshing cold front coming in. 88 degrees in Tallahassee, 85 in Jacksonville. And you see a lot of storms will still be lingering in the region, especially when the storms start firing up in the area. Now 91 degrees in Tampa, 89 degrees in West Palm Beach, and we're making our way into the beach forecast. We'll have a great day to get out into the water early on. Winds will be kicking up though east at 15 to 20 knots with that waves kicking up 3 to 5 feet with that water at 86 degrees. And look at those boating forecasts, same story. We'll have some scattered thunderstorms though out in the Gulf, so make sure you have that boat plan and be ready for that if you do want to get out there on the water. But we're going to swing things over to the tropics with Alex.
Yes, it's been a little quiet stretch for the past few days, but in the past week we did have a big spark in tropical activity. We have up to our I-named storm, Hurricane Ingrid, which has since impacted Mexico, and another invest, which might be on its way towards that same area. I'm going to get to that in just a bit. Satellite and radar, you can clearly see a lot of the moisture in Florida. And if we look all the way off to the east, we see this little swirl. Those are the remnants of Hurricane Humberto, still trying to make its way alive, trying to stay alive. You can see a lot of dry air feeding into the center, not looking very impressive, but you can clearly see that spin associated with Humberto. What are the stats right now? It's sitting very far in the middle of the ocean at 45 miles an hour with the pressure steadily rising, and when the pressure rises, the hurricane does get weaker with 1,005 millibars. This track is going to take it off into the north, so it will be a formidable fish storm, even if it's not tropical, with winds looking like they're going to be at 60 miles an hour, even as it transits into an extratropical system. Gusts around 58 miles an hour, so it's still pushing those waves pretty rough. So if there's any fishermen out there, hopefully they are going to have a good time and not a bad time with this storm. These are the remnants of Tropical Storm Manuel, which had impacted the west coast of Mexico. Clearly still having a lot of clouds impacting this area, bringing a lot of rain to the west side. And off on the east side, we have the remnants of Hurricane Ingrid, which is a lot of rain off into the east near Veracruz, impacting locations also near Corpus Christi, seeing a little bit of rainfall near there. What else do we have? We have this other system. This seems to be the hotspot for developing systems lately across the Caribbean Sea. We're giving this about a 60% chance of development within the next 5 days, and it's going to push over the Yucatan and into some very warm waters, and models are having the storm go into the same area that Hurricane Ingrid did. What is the situation in Mexico so far? We've already had 3 named systems impact Mexico: Fernan, Ingrid, Manuel, and also a tropical depression. Even though it wasn't a strong wind maker, it was definitely a strong rain maker. A new invest, like I said, is likely to develop with a possible landfall in the same area. It might drift off into the north of Gulf of Mexico, threatening our neck of the woods, but it doesn't look likely. It looks like it will already impact the already drenched area of Veracruz and eastern Mexico. The death toll of Manuel and Ingrid is already combined for 38, so they clearly do not need any more tropical trouble, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. Hurricane climatology, though, you can see a lot of the red over the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean Sea, and where the Gulf Stream waters of the Atlantic are. This shows that there's high likelihood, for tropical cyclone development in this area. It is the peak of hurricane season in September, and it doesn't change that much for October. We're going to get to that when that happens, but you can clearly see the vast stretch of tropical cyclone development that we have. Anyways, let's take on to a bit more about the tropics back at the desk.
Didn't catch what Alex said about the tropics, here's a little recap. So Mexico got double teamed by Hurricane Ingrid all the way on the east coast, and also on the west coast it had Tropical Storm Manuel.
That's right, and so they got tons of rain, and they've had, as Alex mentioned, 4 tropical systems move through that region already this season.
Right, and there's a death toll of at least 38 people as of now recorded.
And then we have a system heading toward the Yucatan Peninsula. It'll be in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico or the Bay of Campeche tomorrow. And this is kind of where it gets interesting. There's going to be a cold front that's going to be sliding through the southeast later this week, a stronger one than what's there now. And so that could steer the system more to the north. So anyway, it's going to be interesting the next few days.
Right, we've had a really inactive hurricane season this year, so let's not jinx it and knock on wood, right? Yeah.
Although I'd like to see some rain after it's been so
It's been hot. We need to cool down over here.
We do. We want that fall to come around.
We want fall. We want to see those trees begin to change and a little cooler.
That's right. But it's time to check out the last local now with Ryan.
Yeah, we're still dealing with the heat, and we're still dealing with a few showers. Not a downpour. So if Tyler was looking for a wet day, you're gonna have to wait a couple days because this is all we've got for you on the radar. So a couple of us seeing a few spotty showers here and there, but really we don't have a driving force to get anything up and going. You don't even see a sea breeze on the radar, which the past couple days we've really seen push north out of the Gulf of Mexico. But mainly just a few spotty showers. Tallahassee, you might even be seeing a sprinkle right now downtown in the capital city, but overall across the southeast, mainly looking dry across the bulk of the deep south, northern Georgia through all the way northern Mississippi, looking really nice. A few spotty showers again through the Florida Panhandle, all associated with this extended frontal boundary that really has kind of washed itself out, but just enough lift to get a few showers and get a few clouds going up before the sun goes down. The Florida Peninsula looking a little wet, but that is going to stay far to our south, so not going to have to be dealing with any impacts from that. Outside, we're still warm, 93 degrees at this hour as the sun stays up, and those temperatures are going to hold pretty steady over the next couple hours until the sun goes down and we get a little bit of heat. But the good news here is that our dew point is in the 60s instead of the 70s, so it doesn't quite feel like it's 100. It feels like 93. So still warm, but not terrible. Current temperatures, as we were talking, we've got mostly 90s here across the Big Bend area. A few spots in the 80s. Thomasville, 88 degrees in South Georgia at this hour. 93 in Tallahassee. 90 in St. Mark's. 85 the cool spot in Apalachicola, if you consider that cool. With these dew points, though, in the 60s and 70s, it still feels just as hot as it actually is outside. So, unfortunately, we don't have any cool weather relief. Dew points mainly in the 60s and 70s. But here's the setup we've got over the next couple days. Frontal system causing those spotty showers has pushed to the south, and that'll begin to stall. But we'll see a light filtering of cooler, drier air into our region out of the east, mainly filtering that dry air. So that'll knock dew points down just a couple degrees. High temperatures, you're really not going to notice it all that much, but it's going to feel slightly cooler over the next couple days until our next major weather maker. So warm nonetheless. Your futurecast, you can see spotty showers across the peninsula of Florida, but the panhandle stays dry, which is good news for us, so we're not going to be dealing with any type of washout over the next couple days. 70 degrees tonight, less muggy, so the drier air filtering into the forecast area. We've got a 20% chance of showers, so the showers that are out there now, just a light sprinkle, hit or miss, those will be sticking around until the sun goes down and eventually will begin to clear out. Tomorrow, looking pretty good. Not much of a chance for showers as that boundary pushes south of our area. Temps in the 70s in the morning. It'll feel pretty nice. Warming up to the upper 80s by the afternoon, not feeling quite as hot. Beach forecast looking pretty
Okay, and it's Tuesday, thanks Ryan, and it's never too early to start thinking about the weekend, right?
That's right. Who are we playing again this Saturday?
Bethune-Cookman.
And they are from Daytona Beach, if you did not know where they are from.
Yep, and so we're looking forward to that game. It's a 6 o'clock game, so it'll be a little cooler. I didn't get a chance to go out to the game this weekend, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to go out this weekend.
And I heard it was hot, so if you guys went to the game, that means you probably got a little sunburn on your face.
Yeah, and of course, you want to bring the water still, but it looks like temperatures will be a little cooler this weekend.
Thanks to that cold front that we're going to be seeing, right?
Cold front, right?
Cold front. Put an emphasis on that.
Yeah, we definitely still need the cool drinks to get us through the next, several weeks or so.
Iced tea and lemonade.
And you can see on the 7-day forecast how we still have temperatures hovering around 90 for the next, say, 3 days. And then for the weekend, a little bit more rain, a little bit cooler.
We're finally
as
seeing
well.
those higher 60s, though. We haven't seen those in a while.
Yeah,
Nice
very
little break.
nice. Bring on the cooler weather. You can like us on Facebook.com/FSU Weather. Or follow us on Twitter, too, twitter.com/FSU Weather
Or
as
you
well.
can make us a nice little hashtag on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I am student meteorologist Brooke Silvering.
And I'm student meteorologist Tyler Allender.
Have a great evening and tune in tomorrow night.